I need to talk to her, you can hear.
You want me to hold off for?
Just a second. We have a quorum. We can wait, I don't know how long she's gonna be, she didn't say.
Okay.
And I don't know where Amanda or David are. They both said, indicated that they would be here.
Okay. Well, we have a quorum, right? I just need to recognize her whenever she comes in.
It's Dana Thomas. Or, I mean, we can wait a couple of minutes if you want. I would just announce it that we're gonna wait a couple of minutes, if that's what you wanna do.
Mr. President.
Chairman.
I think
not
we
President.
just,
Madam Chairman.
yes.
My feelings are hurt. Nobody wanted to sit down, like.
We're stuck in a rut over here.
I rotate.
Tony
I
rotated.
moved.
He
I
usually
served there last
Yeah.
year.
I will move.
No, that's all right. I'm just joking.
I'm the favorite child today.
You are, Susan. You're always the favorite.
No,
Thank
not
you for
always.
showering today.
You're welcome.
I'll just recognize it whenever she comes in.
Okay, that's
Just stay that time. Okay, it is 6 p.m. and I'd like to call to order the July 19th, 2022 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. Roll call, please.
yes, sir. Chuck Cleckler,
Here.
Daniel Turner,
Here.
David Wright, Cassie Hollinshead, Tony Harris,
Here.
Amanda Kelly, and Randy Humphrey.
Here.
We barely have a quorum.
Right. Right, if y'all will please stand and join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for this time that we can gather here and enter into this meeting. Guide us and direct us as we now conduct business for the city of White House. In Christ's name I pray, amen. Amen. Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now for the Texas pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you. Okay, that takes us to item D, community interest. We got some,
Two things. So the filing period to run for a city council position opens on July 23rd and continues through August 22nd. And just a reminder that school starts August 17th. It's coming up quick.
that's real quick. Yeah. Okay. All right, anybody got anything else? Okay, then that takes us to item E, public forum. Don't believe we have anyone that's signed in on the public forum
No
side?
one's signed in for this portion, no, sir.
Okay, all right. All right, then that takes us to item F, consideration of minutes.
I will move to approve the minutes of the meeting from May 17th, 2022, planning and zoning.
Okay, I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Okay. All right, then that takes us to item G. Other action items and public hearings. G1, public hearing, discussion, consideration, and action on rezoning request for a 28.33 plus or minus acre tract of land located at the corner of Hagan Road and Railroad Avenue in the M. Guitteriez Survey Abstract A 0364, Smith County, Texas, from residential low density and residential medium density to residential medium density planned development. Request of TVG Capital LP LLC. So it is now 6:05. Oh,
Do you want me to give you
The background?
information first before you open the public hearing? or
That's
no?
fine.
It's up to you.
that's fine. Go ahead and give us our background.
Okay, all right. So commissioners, before you tonight is a rezoning case for the proposed gated development for Rose Meadows. TVG Capital is asking that the property be rezoned from residential medium density and residential low density to residential medium density planned development. The property is approximately 28 acres at the corner of Hagan Rd and Railroad Avenue. They are requesting this zoning to build a 90-lot single-family development. Included in your packet is a table showing the current requirements of the two current zonings, the RL and RM, and the changes that the developer has requested. Also in your packet is the proposed plan development ordinance, which outlines the requests and requirements, which include a detached garage matching the building materials and the style of the house. 2 1-inch caliber trees in each front yard, an HOA to be established to maintain the common areas, private streets, and sidewalks. They are required to have varying front elevations, and the developer will also put in a sidewalk along the outside perimeter of Hagan Road from Memory to Railroad Avenue, except any portion of land that is owned by Union Pacific Railroad. Notices were mailed and published in the paper, and signs were posted along the property as well. A public hearing is scheduled for tonight to hear comments for or against. I did receive several requests for information about this rezoning, and I did receive one email against. I have provided you a copy of that email at your places. Representatives for the developer are here to speak and answer questions, and tonight, staff is seeking your recommendation, which will move on to council next week for their action on the plan development ordinance.
Okay, thank you. All right, the time is now 6:07, and I will close our regular meeting and open up our public hearing. So if anyone would like to speak for or against this, I'll entertain you to come forward and speak to the commission at this time. Okay, please, just state your name and your address.
Good evening, I'm Jan Belfay. I live at 504 Railroad Avenue, which borders this proposed development on the west side. I'm on the side where the railroad is.
Okay.
I'm here tonight to speak against this zoning change, specifically the change from low density to medium density, and specifically for planned development as well. If you will look at the map that's up there, you'll notice that there is already existing a lot of residential low density surrounding this property on the north side, the west side, the south side, the southeast side. There is some medium density, pockets of medium density, but I would say that the preponderance here is residential low density. My comments specifically center on the fact that cramming more people into this area is going to create more traffic problems. I realize development is kind of a necessary evil in small growing communities. I used to sit on this very board and consider the things you're considering tonight. But I am a resident in direct contact with this, and I know for a fact that 90 different homes in there with families are going to be dumping out onto Hagan and Memory Lane. They're going to be cutting through up Railroad Avenue. Those streets are ill prepared for a high density or even a medium density situation like that at this point in time. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about tonight were the numbers that I read. I was one of those people who asked for specific details from the developer. And what concerned me on some of these items were the setbacks that were recommended by the developer. The changes, let me get to that page, yes, that the developer is requesting for setbacks on front, rear, side, and interior are all significantly less than for residential low or residential medium. I understand what a planned development is. I understand that that means that they want to be able to modify the existing density requirements to apply to the entire development, not just lot by lot. I do understand they're dealing with an irregular piece of property that's going to require some give and take for larger pieces and smaller pieces. But these numbers to me mean specifically bigger houses on smaller lots, which creates a higher density. And I'm not for that. I like the space in White House. Obviously, I live on some property that has a lot of space, but as I drive through the neighborhoods surrounding this area, the houses are not crammed one together. There's definitely space in between them, and I think that anything that we plan to put in there should match what's existing. I'd also like to call your attention to the fact that there is no precedent for a gated community in this area. There are no gated communities, even the new communities that are being built down Hagan Road further to the east. None of those are gated. And so I would speak against the gating of a community right there. One other statement that has me concerned that the developer writes is that it's a very vague statement that says most all garages will be detached in the backyard. However, when I look at this development plan and I look at the size of the lots and the houses, I actually don't see how they're going to be able to make their setback numbers and do that. I think that a lot of these houses are going to be front opening garages attached, or they're going to have to be based on the size of the lots that I'm seeing. Maybe they can respond to that, but there are a few estate-sized lots that I can see in their plan, but the preponderance of the numbers of houses that are going to be built on these lots are going to be smaller houses because the land is smaller, but they want fewer setbacks, so they want them closer together. And the other thing I wanted to point out is that a 1-inch caliber tree is the size of a man's thumb. It's very small. It's very small, and I don't think that that's a very strong landscaping investment in a development that's going into White House. And so I would speak against this change. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Okay, do I have anyone else that would like to speak? Please come forward. Please state your name and
My
your...
name is Paul Choi. I live on 300 Center Avenue. I moved in this beautiful city about 6 months ago from California.
Okay.
So for the past 29 years, I've been involved in many small development opportunities like this as a realtor for 20 years. Small and large. And how negatively this has been impacting the community personally. So I'm strongly against this one, not only because my house is living only a quarter miles away from here, but by looking at the entire area of White House, we have plenty of land to develop with more space than this cramped area in this corner. As the other lady mentioned, traffic is a huge concern for us because even though there is Railroad Road and Hagan Rd, most people will travel through small aisles in our streets, causing troubles for the street people who are walking and pouring children on the street, and most of us are not wide enough for 2 lanes. So the next concern I have. The other reason is I don't know whether there is any kind of traffic or environmental impact in this area. This is a semi-farming area, even though in the city limits. So there are some animals in our backyard where I live. It should be protected, and this one cuts off the entrance from the south to the north area because of this entire development. So there's another concern I have, and simply if this is a proposal in California, I don't have any problem with it. But we are living in a small city of White House in Texas. That's why I'm all the way from California to live a peaceful, tranquil life in urban area in White House. And this does not match with the entire concept of living in a White House compared to downtown Tyler. I understand it. We are living in a small community. So I'm strongly against this project. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
here about for or against. I didn't know if that was a discussion. Can I discuss something, or I have to be for or against to speak?
Yeah, if you'll just, give us your name and,
Okay, Donna Nally, 602 Kelly, been there 33 years. Bought it because of the roads field behind it. Didn't want neighbors right behind us. Have enjoyed it thoroughly. I know change is always change. I did do an email of my concerns. My concerns, of course, is water runoff. I know people in Tyler and White House where they put in new developments where they've had flooding in their area because of new developments that obviously I don't know. I'm completely ignorant about development and how they do it and how they decide how water is to run off. So I can't say any more than I do know people that their homes are flooded. That is one of my concerns. Another concern I have is when they put in new developments, you have your fence and then they put theirs and then all that junk stuff grows between and nobody cleans it out. Junk trees and stuff like that. Are they gonna be putting up a fence? How high is their fence? Another concern that I have is, you know, I had built something 20 years ago and White House had me move it 10 feet from my fence because they said I couldn't have it next to the property line. Are they gonna be building 10 feet or just 5 feet from our property lines? The other concern that I have is, which is not gonna be a concern really, I have a little tree section there that keeps me from having to deal with all of the sand and dust from the rose field and all that, which that is on that property. And I assume there's no way that I could even ask that they keep that there or whatever. Again, I'm just discussing, I'm just putting some issues out there that concerns me and my family. And as well as the traffic, water, we have water rationing right now. I realize it's because of drought and all of that, but we do have water issues in White House and we just keep building. Do we have sufficient water for everybody as we keep continuing to grow as the city of White House? I'm not saying, I don't know. Just a discussion. Thank you.
thank you. All right. Do I have anybody else this time? You could probably bring the, you wanna bring the builder now? That's fine. Yeah.
You can speak in the public hearing, it's fine.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
My name is Josh McAlpin. I'm the VP of Development for TVG Capital. And I've got some folders for you guys to take a look at. Just kind of an idea as to what we're going to be developing.
Are they all the same?
Yes, ma'am, they're identical. They're all identical. I thought there was only 5, I apologize. But, so what we're looking at doing on the smaller lots, so there's only about 32 lots that are 65 feet wide. The rest of the lots are average between 71 to 80 feet wide. All going back 125 feet. Some of them actually go back 140, 160. There's some big corner lots that we have. We've got about 10 lots that are 0.3 acres and larger. We've got 3 or 4, I believe, that are around half acre or so. And the homes are going to be built between 22 to 2,800 square feet, maybe a little bit bigger, 3,000, just kind of whatever the market dictates as to what size we can really build and push in White House. But we'd like to have an average of around 25 to 2,600 square feet. On the detached garage side that we're requesting it's really for the smaller lots. Our vision and our kind of ideas to what we want is to do as least amount as, if we can get away with doing none, we would love that, with no forward-facing garages. We'd love to be a rear entry, side entry, a detached garage in the back, to where we can pull on the side of it. And on the front pages, you can kind of see an idea as to what it would look like with a side entry with a detached garage in the back. And the first 2 pages is kind of showing you how it lay out. And the main thing we're looking at doing is just bringing in a bigger home, a higher end home. Our finish outs are going to be much nicer. They're going to be like a South Tyler type. It's going to be a holly tree style of finish out. The homes is all gonna be like it's called a modern Tudor, or like kind of an English Tudor style of homes. And, we're gonna do some porticoches, make them look nice if we're able to do the detached in the back. Originally, we had to put potential carports. We can actually scratch that. My wife, said no on that. So the carports are completely out of it. It will be enclosed, looking identical to the finish out of the exterior of the fronts as well. And we will have brick, on a lot of the houses and the fronts of them, the gables that we're gonna be doing, rock in some of them. A lot of it's gonna be LP Smart, just for the style that we're trying to build and what we're, trying to bring to the subdivision, and kind of what we see it to be. As far as the trees, if there's an issues with the trees, we can go with bigger trees. We're not opposed to any of that. We just want to make an incredible product that, one, the city is proud of, and two, that we feel will sell and upgrade the White House itself, because there's not a subdivision that has larger homes next to Rose, can't think what it's called over there. Rosebrook. I think that's about the biggest houses in White House in the subdivision, and we're trying to just make them a little bit larger. There's a lot of 14 to 2,000 square foot down Hagan. I mean, throw a stone, you're gonna hit one. But we're trying to make them just a little bit larger and just nicer finish up, more than kind of what's been. So.
What does the fence look like around the
Hang
perimeter?
on just a second.
Okay,
We need to
sorry.
get out of the
Yeah.
public
Can you
hearing
get out of the
before.
public hearing before we
Yeah.
can?
We can bring him back up.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
Can we give this to them?
Okay.
Can we give this to them? To the people? Let them
Yeah.
look? See if any of them wanna look at it?
Actually, I'm gonna tell you, I'm a resident of White House as well. I live on Sunny Meadows.
Okay.
Can they?
These are the handouts that he gave, if anybody would like to come and see them, since it's a lot of absolutely in the packet.
Thank you.
We'll put another set over here.
Some will be single, but the small lots will be two.
We're gonna get paper.
Yeah, we gotta get out of the public hearing. Is there anybody else that would like? Excuse me, hang on. Is there anybody else that would like to make comment in this public hearing? Okay, then it is 6:22, and I will now close the public hearing and reopen our regular meeting. Okay.
I mean,
So y'all got
they could have
questions?
continued to look, I didn't mean for anybody to
Yeah,
sit
y'all
down.
can continue
But you're
to look.
welcome to come
I
and-
just need to close the public hearing at that point. So,
We're not gonna get a chance to respond to the photos that we've seen now, because this is new information in terms of, this is information we didn't have in terms of appearance, so
We didn't have
before you do that.
either.
That's up to you.
do we wanna I'd have to reopen it?
You could, we can
You could recess for a minute if you want.
We'll just
recess for a
recess.
minute and let them look, and then
Okay,
we can bring the developer up and take his information if you want to open another public hearing. I don't think there's any issue with that.
okay, all right. Then I'm gonna recess our meeting to give y'all the opportunity to look at those photos that were presented, and then I will reopen our meeting and then ask for additional comments and reopen the public hearing. So it's 6:24 and we will go into recess now.
Building a two-story 5-foot from that fence.
Yeah, when you look it up, you can see her door. Oh, I know, sorry. I didn't know if you wanted to use these all size.
Well, I think that they're elaborating on operational.
Okay, it is now 6:28, and I will open our meeting back up. And with the new information that y'all had an opportunity to look at, then I will go ahead, it's 6:28, and I will open our public hearing back up for any additional comments.
Was this meaning that most of the houses are gonna be two-story?
You know, come up and,
After looking at these pictures, it looks like
Can
most
you-
of them are gonna be two-story.
okay, can you give me your name and your address?
Richard Maska, 604 Kelly, White House.
Okay.
Back up to the Rose Farm.
Okay,
And you gonna put a two-story house right there on my back fence. I ain't gonna like that too well. I ain't gonna like it at all. Go ahead and like it if you want.
no, I understand, sir.
After 8 years in the Navy, I wound up with this. What else? You understand,
me
but you
neither.
don't care.
No, I understand what your comment is. Yes.
Well, you don't care about it?
Well,
There's
This
a lot of
is
difference
the,
between understanding and
I'm
care.
gathering information at this point in time in the public hearing.
Well, you asked who I was. Who are you? I haven't been to City Hall since they left me out of here. They wouldn't let me talk anymore. They said I was nothing but a damn troublemaker. What did you, the other city secretary?
No, I'm the city secretary.
Huh?
I'm the city
You're
secretary.
city secretary. Okay. I live at 604 Kelly and I don't like this.
Yes, sir, I
I don't want
understand.
a two-story house built in my backyard.
I understand, but like you said, right now, we're gathering information.
You gathering information. Can
Yes.
you do anything about it? Of course you will.
That's up to these folks here.
Who's the big boss here?
It's a commission.
He's the big boss, I can see that, but who's in charge?
Okay.
He don't answer. I never would have been public speaking.
Brady says your piece.
Jan Belfay again, 504 Railroad Avenue. After seeing the homes, they do look like very nice homes. I would not argue at all with the quality that they're planning to build into these homes. I particularly am interested in side entrances and rear entrances. That's important to me. 35 of the 90 lots are not gonna permit that. That's getting close up to half there, you know, that are not gonna be able to be. So I'm sure that they're showing us their best. I would, if I was a developer. But I am still strongly opposed to the density that this project is laying on that 28 acres here. I think it's too many people crammed in too small a space. Bigger homes is not the issue. It's the issue of bigger homes on smaller pieces of land, going out, destroying those setbacks, which are there for a reason, to kind of control the amount of people that you can put on any given point of land. And I realize that that means dollars. I mean, they're here to make dollars. And whether you live here or whether you live in Grapevine, this is going to be a problem for this city. The traffic that this is going to create. I mean, if I had my druthers, I would say, yes, let's develop this land. I would not want it to be a planned development because that allows the developer to have a lot of leeway with a lot of things. There are no planned developments around this area at all, in this specific area that I know of, even when the Conaways were building like crazy in the early years, and I lived backed up to Rosebrook myself. There were some things he didn't do that I didn't like either, but he didn't gate it, and he didn't mess with the setbacks. And I think those are there for a reason, to help protect some of the residents who haven't been here before. I apologize for the other residents that are being so disruptive to this meeting, but I do feel like they're here with good intentions and they want to retain the quality of White House that we all love, which is a little bit of space, a little bit of breathing room. This isn't California, this isn't even Grapevine, Texas, this is White House. So the quality, yes. The numbers, no. I would really love to see 2/3 of these numbers in this area right here. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, thank you. All right. Yes, sir.
Well, this is Paul back again from 300 Center Avenue. Let me do the simple math about this entire development. I was involved in many of these ones already. So if they pay more $5 million, that number of homes can be justified. As far as they pay under $2 million for this land as farmland or low residential land. And putting that many homes is not necessary in our city. It cannot be justified for any reasons. And I know that really council members and our city officers are working for us as a resident to protect our life, comfortable and peaceful, rather than accommodate the business venture of certain company from out of our area. I know that businesses run for money. At the same time, we should protect our right to live a very comfortable life. Children are safe on the street, and we can enjoy a beautiful life here. So, as you proposed, that number of homes are the medium density enough, giving another right to run as planned development gives too many variations as a developer to change different ways depending on the size and location of the lot, which should not happen for any development. So we've got a certain number of criteria set at the beginning to make sure that there are not too many variations out of the lots that are given. So as Jen mentioned, 25, 30 is plenty enough for this lot. Anything other than overcrowding the entire neighborhood also negatively impact our property value. Also, number of students enrolled in our school, there will be another additional property tax levied on our each homes, which we are very concerned about this one. So some of our residents have been discussing about this one recently, and we are even talking about taking some legal advice how valid this entire development could be in our neighborhood for the next 10, 20 years. This is something that should happen in the city of White House. So again, my second motion is strongly against this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else? Okay, it is now 6:35, and I'm going to close the public hearing and reopen our regular meeting. Okay. So we can now bring the developer back up and ask any questions that we want to ask of the developer at this time. Y'all got questions for him?
Or y'all can just discuss amongst yourself first, it's up to you.
Yeah, or we can discuss it amongst ourselves first.
Chad, be sure and speak up so the
Oh,
audience can hear
I'm
what
sorry.
you're saying.
Well, once you're there, the only question I had earlier was, what does the fence, or was there a picture of that around the
The outside
perimeter?
of it,
Yeah,
so
what-
we're looking at doing brick pillars on the outsides all the way around. We don't know exactly if we're gonna go 8 feet, 16 feet. I've gotta get pricing on it just to see kind of where it's gonna be, but we do plan on using, brick pillars along with, and that's a question I have for the city as well. Can we do 8 feet, 8-foot fences on the back sides of them, or is it gonna be required to go with 6-foot fences? We're opposed, we're not opposed to either or. We like 8 just because of the privacy being bigger in between the houses, just on the back, but on the sides, I know we have to do 6 foot. So, that's our idea as to what it's gonna be. In the fronts are all gonna be wrought iron, it's gonna be really, really nice on the gate side of it. It'll be really kind of probably we don't know exactly yet, we have not drawn that up, but it's probably gonna be brick coming all the way around, something real nice up front, and wrought iron on the fencing.
Okay.
Okay. It's 6:37, and Casey Hollingshead has now joined our meeting.
I have a question regarding the streets. What kind of street material are you planning on using?
Concrete.
Concrete pavement?
Yes, sir.
So along with that comes the proper storm drainage and all of that has been
That's correct,
addressed?
yes, sir, that's maybe a question that Mr. Greg can answer with, Benchmark Design, he's our engineer, civil engineers that we've hired to do this. But
I know that some of the concern from the residents was water runoff to their pieces of property. How will you address that as you build along the property line? If this so passes?
An engineering question, excuse me, I'm not that intelligent.
Greg Mitchell with Benchmark Design Group, 2026 Republic Drive, Tyler. The question I think was about drainage. So when we get into the actual design of the subdivision, right now we've just done the layout, but when we actually get into the design. We'll size the inlets to collect the runoff, at appropriate locations. I believe this property currently drains in two different directions, part of it under Memory, part of it, under the railroad. So we'll look at that and make sure we're not impacting, anything downstream. If that requires a retention pond or whatever, or upsizing a structure, then, we'll evaluate that and design it appropriately so we're not affecting or actually impacting, the downstream property owners.
Do you have lots designated on the backside of this for retention ponds if needed? Have you designated any lots for that out of the 90?
Not yet, no. We're not sure until we get the storm sewer laid out, where we're gonna collect it and pipe it to, exactly where that's gonna be. But we will as we get into it, yes, sir.
We'll do whatever is required via the city engineering. The city has, you be obviously retaining your own engineers through the whole process of it, so it'll be back and forth with whatever the engineers agree to, and what the city requires is we're gonna do whatever is needed.
Yeah, obviously, if we get to the construction plan part, it'll come through the city, be reviewed, and, we'll address any comments that come up during that review process as well.
Are there ways to write the plan development to have the northern border row of houses have different setbacks than the rest of the neighborhood in the plan development?
We have done that in other plan developments. I think the last plan development we approved, we had 3 different sections that had different requirements for each section. So, yes.
'Cause for the people that are on there on Kelly, they didn't move there with the expectation of that, so.
I guess mine, of course, I've got some concerns about the 6-foot setback. I mean, that big of a house and putting 12 foot between two houses is, that's tight. It gets real tight real quick. And, so with on your lot width, with this 90 lot, with the way this is laid out in 90 lots, and you're requesting a 60-foot lot width, and I know some of them vary just based upon layout, but what is that breakdown on the 60-foot, that 60-foot layout? How many do we have that are 60 foot, and how many vary off of that, and what is that variation?
So there's about 32, I believe, roughly. Don't hold me to that, 32, 35, somewhere around there, that are 65-foot setbacks, or 65 feet wide.
65 foot?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And again, the reason that we wanted to do a smaller setback on the sides was, if you look at the very first page that I'd given you, if we're able to go do a detached garage in the back of it, I've got to be at least 5 foot for my driveway. Bare minimum is 5 foot off of the side. So if we go 6 foot from it, I can do a porte cochere or do something on the side of it. And from that, I've got to be, I believe, at least 10. But we're going to do around 12 feet wide of a road to get back to the detached garage. And so we're shifting that house over because we got to take basically 65 minus the 12 minus the 5 feet or 6 feet or whatever it is. So we got to move that back over to the side of it for that reason. So we're going to go all the way over to the right hand side, for instance, at a 6 foot, and then on the next lot to it, we'll do the setback. We'll do the porte cochere or the garage, or excuse me, the driveway on the left hand side of that one as well. So it still looks like
So in other words,
a lot of space in between them.
you're not gonna stack them in there side by side and put your driveways to the outsides. In other words, you'll have your driveway with your detached garage with your house set as far over to that lot line as available as that you can.
Yes,
And
sir.
then on the next one, it'll follow that same pattern as it works its way down.
That's exactly right. We're not gonna put two houses 6 feet, be 12 foot from each other. I personally lived at Britain Court before we sold our house in, last July, and that's exactly how it was. It was the road's real small, it was really close.
Right.
So no, we did not wanna do that on this.
Okay.
It will be separate, and again, not all of them are gonna have detached garages, it's just gonna
Right.
be the more narrow lots. And if it's something that we have to change, they can all be forward facing, cause there's nothing we can do about it at that point. We're just trying to make it as beautiful as possible, if that's a correct word to say for it, you know?
Okay.
And the detached in the back, I mean, they look fantastic, they're really, really good.
Are you developing all these lots yourself, or are you
Yes, sir.
selling some?
No, so we're actually building and we're developing and building the whole entire subdivision. And we're gonna do it in phases, so first phase will be, I guess you have the map in front of you.
Yeah.
So
We
just
got
take
it.
a right on, Rose Meadow Circle, as soon as you come in off of Memory, take a right, and it's gonna go all the way up to the cul-de-sac, which is, Magnolia Lane. So we're gonna capture about 28 to 30 lots total on that particular section, and that's the first phase we're gonna do. And then we'll phase it as the market, or, you know, as the market dictates what's available. If it crashes, then we're only so deep in it right now, instead of developing the whole entire thing, you know, and being out all that.
Okay.
And not all the houses are gonna be two-story too, by the way.
Right.
Just what's required, what's needed, because we have densities on the lots themselves. We can't overbuild because of runoff water issues, so we're not going to overbuild on the lots themselves. So some of those, we do have to go two-story on. Some of the small, you know, the bigger lots on the sides and some of the bigger lots on the interior corner, we're not gonna have to go two-story.
Okay.
So along that north side for the neighbors, how many two-stories would you think would be on that side of the
Oh, I have
subdivision?
no clue.
Yeah.
I couldn't even begin to tell you how many, honestly. It's gonna be a decent, probably, I mean, a decent amount. I can't tell you what it's gonna be, cause I don't know on the footage, on the layout of it. But you gotta remember, these houses are not your typical two-story homes. So they don't look two-story. A lot of them are going to look like a one-story house. They just got dormers in the front. It's gonna be, they call it a 1.5 story is what it is. So it's not a full 20-foot high and then it's that in the back of it. It's not like that at all.
And they could build two-story there now without rezoning it.
Yeah, yeah.
Currently, they could put an apartment complex there.
Yeah, the whole entire side over here is
Yeah.
completely
No.
two-story.
The medium
On some of
density,
those.
they could.
It's residential low on the
That's
north.
residential.
Well, the
low
northern
on that
is
side.
residential low,
Yes.
southern's residential medium.
Right.
Okay, we're not gonna bring that up. Hey, we won't bring that up. No. All right, but
No, that's
Would y'all-
residential low.
would y'all entertain changing some of the setbacks along the northern border to protect the people who are already adjacent to the lots?
Sure, what are you meaning? I guess, what is your projection?
Mainly the rear setbacks.
Okay, so the current setback.
Like leave a buffer,
Right, because,
like a tree buffer or whatever.
The
well,
rear set, they're not requesting anything
Yeah,
different
but
on
we're
the
not
rear.
doing anything.
if
They're
somebody,
not doing anything than what's already required. They're 20 foot on the.
well, their accessory building can be 5 foot.
The accessory building can only be a single-story accessory building, and
But
that
doesn't it have,
being detached.
doesn't it have to be 10 foot in the residential low? 5 foot?
Yeah,
And again, that just gives us the
They're not-
footage,
they're,
we're only changing the sides.
yeah, they're only
By
changing
a
the
foot, I
sides
think a foot and a half, is that right? By a foot and a half,
by a foot and a half.
yes, sir.
Yeah.
And a side street by 3.
Was it 3?
the side street,
Okay,
because you went from 15 to 12.
okay, sorry, being the side street, I apologize.
I'm just concerned about the people behind them.
Okay.
Josh, was that the area you were talking about building an 8-foot fence?
Correct.
Yes.
Which we would absolutely allow.
Problem with an
Yeah.
Okay,
eight
you
fence.
can.
Yeah.
Okay. Like that's ultimately like we would like, cause my house is gonna be sitting on, I can't see a lot. But it is, that one right there where she has it. Right there on that cul-de-sac. That's my personal home, so we're gonna be doing 8 foot on the back side of it as well. Anywhere where they meet someone, again, I live in, we're currently renting a house off 1002 Sunny Meadows. I can literally watch my neighbors cook, do whatever it is, straight through it, 6 foot high, and it's just like, wow. So, to us, we do not wanna do that whatsoever. We want at least the backs, privacy to be solid. On the sides, we can put, 6 foot, cause that's what's required. And in the front, we can't go out past the,
It's the
Minimum
required.
requirement.
oh, it's the minimum.
Yeah,
Max
on the
is
side.
8.
Oh, okay,
You
okay.
can't go over
We
8 without.
we may go 8 foot then, depending on how it looks. Again, it's, my wife is the designer, she's doing it all on the design side, some of that, so if it looks not great, then obviously we're not gonna do it on the sides of it being 6 feet, or 8 feet, excuse me. And my home's gonna be a 3,200 square foot house. But it's a story and a half. It's just a single story, but it is above the garage, we'll have a 4th bedroom, or actually technically like a 5th bedroom, or a bonus room, game room up above.
So with the 10-12 pitch, because that's what's proposed,
That's
right?
correct, yes.
You're able to absorb some of that attic space
Huge.
for your second story.
So actually, it's the main pitches of the house are required to be 10 and 12, but our gables and the fronts, those are probably gonna be 12 and 12, 14 and 12s. Cause again, it's all about the look that we're going for.
right.
So they're gonna be very tall gables, and they're gonna wind up being 14, 12s, 12 and 12s to get the real high peaks, to get the look of what my wife is wanting out there. And what she thinks is, what we feel is a great product for the city itself. And what's wanted. I always tell people I got the easy part. I build them. She got the hard part of design them.
Y'all have any more questions for them? Okay. All right, thank y'all.
Appreciate it.
So we approve a plat for each phase, if they're gonna phase it out, or once they do this, they don't have to come back for anything else, or?
The final plats would be done in phases.
Okay, yeah. So if there's any issues, we can work them out then, or
Because
whatever.
the plan development, correct me if I'm wrong, but plan development would have to come back before this body for their plats.
Each phase,
For each
yes.
Each phase. for
Right,
their
so if there's
plat.
something, we can work it out in a phase basis, if there's a issue.
Commissioners, I don't want to speak for you, put words in your mouth, but just, I was taking a couple of notes as you were speaking and asking questions. So a couple of things that you need to consider when you make your motion is removing the allowance of carports and any reference to carports being allowed within the ordinance. A driveway must be located between each home so that we don't have two homes together without a driveway in between. I think was the question and answer that I heard for that portion. And then I think you could also consider writing in an 8-foot fence along the northern border of the planned development.
discussion or anything, I will entertain a motion.
Are we, proposing to move forward or one way or the other? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, one way or the other.
And this is a recommendation to
Yes.
city council.
That's correct. This is only a recommendation to city council.
Then I'll make the motion to recommend moving forward to the city council with the following changes. The removal of the carports, the insurance of driveways between each home, and the 8-foot fence along the northern border of the property adjacent to Kelly.
Okay.
Recommending this to the city council for the rezoning request from the residential low density and residential medium density to the residential medium density plan development.
Okay, so I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No. Aye, whatever.
So motion passes.
3-1, recommendation moves forward.
Yeah, the recommendation moves forward. Okay.
Yes, this, go ahead, sorry.
Members of the public, this will be scheduled for the city council meeting on July 26th, which is this coming Tuesday at 6 p.m. right here in the same room.
Okay, so that takes us to item G2, discussion, consideration, and action on Park Meadows subdivision, final plat, a replat for, final plats, Unit 1, a replat of Hamilton Park lots 26 through 47. Okay. So will you give us some background on this one, please?
Yes, sir. Commissioner, staff is asking for action tonight on a final plat for Unit 1 of Park Meadows. This subdivision is formerly known as Hamilton Park Estates, but with the approval of the plan development for Park Meadows just recently, this subdivision's name was changed to help with continuity because it is more closely aligned with Park Meadows and not Hamilton Park. At the time the packet was published, engineers were still reviewing the construction plans, but I've been told today that those plans are finished and they have been approved by the engineer. The final plat has been reviewed by staff and engineers. All comments have been addressed and staff recommends approval at this time.
So this replat, so then that next phase is what we see down at the,
That will be phase 2, yes, sir.
that'll be phase 2 of that,
And-
which, that way it all, everything
Correct.
gets lined up, all of our streets get lined up, all of that kind of stuff.
Correct.
Okay.
What you see that's more gray, that is the old plat,
Okay,
but it's being replatted. There's just a little bit of it you can look at where it shows, Leslie, can you go down right up below Dillon Court? It's the first court, it's the first, yeah.
yeah,
Right there, that shows that whole area is now being replatted into one lot. So they will come back with a final plat for that, which will meet that, street right there.
It'll meet that street.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Okay,
I just have one question. There's a lot 5 kind of at the back of the cul-de-sac that's not in this plat.
Correct.
What's the, is there access to that, or is it adjoined to another lot? Cause there's no,
That's adjoined to another lot in there with Mary Lane.
okay.
okay. Anybody got any other questions, comments? No?
I move to approve Park Meadows Unit 1 final plat.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Okay, then that takes us to item H, administrative reports.
Y'all able to open your link
Yep.
from the packet?
I got it. Can you, is there a way to print that off of that?
No,
I
sir.
didn't think so.
Not to make it
Doesn't look very
look
pretty.
right.
I understand.
That's why we do it this way instead of printed.
Okay. Yeah.
Print.
Ah, there they are. See there. Yep. Total permits is up.
5 on residential, but with all of these developments in the pipeline, it doesn't mean that we're slow.
No, and I did go back
Understand that.
and revisit the, because we had questions about the, where there was one for
Oh, yeah.
previous month, that was correct. But again, that does not mean that things are, I'm not doing
I
anything.
mean, you can
Right.
see what our inspections are doing, permits by type down here.
Yeah.
I think we're still pulling some old numbers from that maybe, but, oh no. Mechanical, just because it's not new residential doesn't mean Susan is a
Right.
very busy, and Jody too, so.
Yeah.
We, as the city, about a month ago, released a request for proposals to help with outsourcing some of our permitting and inspection processes. The deadline for that was yesterday, so staff is reviewing the bid that we received, and we'll be making a recommendation to the council in the coming meetings, because with the amount that we have going on, poor Susan and Jody, are, just have a lot, and so we're to the point now that we need to look at outsourcing it, especially if we have 90 homes, Hamilton Park, or Park Meadows, what's expected there, along with a few others. So we've got to get them some relief so that they can, take a day off every now and then. So we are working on that, and we'll keep you posted as we move through that process. I do have a 5-year staffing plan that included some additional personnel for development, but we don't have anywhere to put them. And we felt like maybe outsourcing, if the market does slow down, we're not tied to keeping people on staff if
Correct.
things change. So just kind of an FYI to keep y'all in the loop on that right now.
Okay. All right. Anybody got anything else?
I have a question for you all. There's the possibility that we may need a special meeting
Okay.
to consider a couple of items, because as you know, your August meeting has changed. Statutory deadlines we had for budget made it to where we needed to switch our meeting with city council. So I was just curious if you all would look at your schedules and then email just me. If you would be available, I believe we said August 11th or August 15th. The 11th is a Thursday, the 15th is a Monday, to possibly meet for a special meeting.
I will be on vacation August 11th,
Okay.
for sure.
So August 15th.
I'm sorry.
So August
So the
15th.
15th, is if y'all wanna look, and
Yeah,
just let us
you
know.
you don't have to let me know right now, if you can just let me know possibly
Yes.
like tomorrow morning. Because if we're going to do
Sounds good.
that, I need to be able to publish in the newspaper when we're going to have that special meeting.
And the only reason why we're asking for you all to do a special meeting in this case, there's a discrepancy dating back to a meeting that was held in 2018 that we're trying to rectify. I think it was just an error that occurred during the meeting that we'd like to get corrected so that the builder can either move forward or pursue a different route if they need to, so.
Okay.
We wouldn't do it on a new application.
Anybody got anything else? Nope. So that takes us to item I.
I will move to adjourn.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Or hearing none, we are adjourned.
Start walking out to the form.